Harrison County leads the state in overdose deaths.
And many of those linked to the deadly drug fentanyl.
On the front lines of this battle are our law enforcement officers. Joining us now with his insight, Harrison County Sheriff Matt Haley. Thanks for stopping by. And we went in depth and looked at this problem of fentanyl in the community and overdose deaths, and we found it really is a problem, especially in Harrison County.
Yeah, and it's not just in Harrison County, it's all over the United States. Unfortunately, we're dealing with it just like everyone else is. Since elected, we've almost doubled our narcotics unit. We've put more interdiction officers on the interstate, and we're being very aggressive when it comes to this.
Now, Noah Noble worked with you guys and some of the other agencies with this Fatal Dose series that you can watch online with WLOX.com, and we aired. And it is one of those things that ain't going away, and it appears to be, as you just said, Harrison County leading with these cases doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And one of the issues with I-10 right there, that seems to be a major artery. But I guess even if you're not on I-10, it's still an issue.
Well, I-10 has always been a corridor for drug trafficking. And you may not be aware of this, but last year we had the largest fentanyl seizure in the state right here in Harrison County on I-10. Again, so it was important for me to increase those numbers on I-10 just to do our part. If every law enforcement agency gets on board and does their part, it's going to help.
So how are you making these stops? How are you even finding it? You talked about the task force, but not to go give away your strategy, but how is it working?
You don't want to give away your strategy,
right,
but and a lot of people find this hard to believe, but it's just in numbers. You make traffic stop after traffic stop, and it's based on interview and a lot of different things. It's again, I can't really say too much, but.
But is the task force working?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's again, our guys, they take an aggressive stance as far as narcotics goes, but more so with the fentanyl because it is causing so many deaths now.
Yeah, when you look at those numbers, I was looking before we came on, it'd be 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine in some cases, and you said 1 in 100 with heroin. I mean, that just says it all. A few grains of this are lethal.
Yep. Yeah, and again, the general public doesn't understand that, how minute of amount that it takes. And, they're mixing this stuff with pills, and they're mixing it with cocaine and with methamphetamine. I think it's called speedball or something of that nature. It's very dangerous. People just don't understand that. Harrison County, we've just charged actually 3 people recently under this Parker's Law, where somebody has delivered or given someone fentanyl and it's killed them. We're only the second agency in the state that has done that so far, and we will continue to do that.
Continue working at it. As far as the demographics go, is it young people mainly pushing, or is it all a mix?
It's a mixture, and I'm sure that may change in different areas. If you get to an area that's a college town, there's probably going to be a lot more younger people, but I think it's a mixed bag.
And there's also a lot of younger people, they might think they're taking, you were talking about cocaine or whatever.
Yeah.
Adderall sometimes is on campuses and that type of thing. It could be mixed up in that too.
Correct.
So it's not just a coke or a heroin or an addict thing. It could be something else. That's what's so scary
Someone
about it.
may think that they're purchasing a lower tab, and it's not a lower tab.
Mm-hmm.
It's something completely different, and unfortunately they don't know until it's too late.
What other kind of problems are compounding off of the fentanyl use and other drugs widespread?
I would, that's really hard to say. Everything has a drug nexus in law enforcement, and maybe not 100%, but 95% of most crimes have some sort of drug nexus, and it's been that way my whole career.
Yeah, okay, and you see that routine in the county?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was, we were talking to Noah about this, one of the cases I covered, and we were there, I think it was a justice court, and everyone that came in, was kind of a assembly line of talking to the judge, and drugs, 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 domestic because of drugs, drugs. So,
right.
I mean, it seems like, that's where it starts.
Again, somebody breaks into a house, where they're breaking into a house to try to get something to sell so they can buy drugs. Again, a drug nexus.
So that's all a symptom of the problem. At what point, or what can the community do to step in and sort of make a difference?
being vocal is better. If you see something, say something. You know, we have a narcotics number that people can call in and you know, give a tip as far as if they see something that looks out of the ordinary. And I would encourage people to be more involved. You know, you don't have to say, hey, this is, you know, Susie whoever, and give the information. You can do it anonymously.
You talked about partnerships, of course, with the public, but also with law enforcement, and with the Parker's Law you were talking about. Is that starting to take effect in some other, you know, areas of the country, especially down here in the Southeast?
I can't really speak from other areas. I can tell you, you know, I had a conversation with our district attorney, Crosby Parker, today, and he feels the same way I do. They're going to take an aggressive stance on this, and you know, if we have the ability to charge somebody under Parker's Law, we're going to do it. And you know, the drug dealers need to know that.
So cracking down on drugs, specifically fentanyl, continues to be a top priority. What else is happening to the Sheriff's Department right now that you're kind of focused on?
We just bought into an investigative system. It's called Fusus, but it's basically a video technology that's going to help us with a lot of investigations. Biloxi already has it. There'll be cameras all over this Gulf Coast, and it's such a great tool in the aspect of it. Just an example, let's say somebody calls in and said, hey, somebody just broke into this house and they were in a red F-150. We'll be able to dial in a certain area and type in red F-150, and one hits any of those cameras, it will show us.
Yeah, changes the game for law enforcement.
Yeah, it really does.
And you also have the Law Enforcement Academy that so you've had it, what, a couple of years now?
We do.
Just having that on site where you can teach and those type of things, it's almost like a home field advantage.
Well, and we're not just teaching officers that are here on the coast. We're teaching them all over the state. You know, my predecessor, Troy Peterson, he helped facilitate building that academy, and we plan to grow that academy. You know, we plan on, you know, expanding our driving track out there, and in a lot of different areas out there we're going to expand on just to help with training. You know, we have to continuously change as crime changes and things change. We have to change our training.
Yeah, that is the way of the world. I know you're always looking for new deputies to come in.
I always look for new deputies.
Yeah.
We can sign y'all up whenever y'all ready.
Give us a training course.
We'll do the oath of office here in a minute.
All right. Sheriff Matt Haley, good visiting with you here for the update on the Sheriff's Department and this ongoing battle against drugs in our community.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff.